September 1954, 3:20 a.m. Harlem Hospital OPITING wing. The corridor smelled of bleach and fear. Sharp chemical scent. Mixed with something else. Blood. Death. Desperation. Lights flickered overhead. Fluorescent tubes. Dying slowly. Casting shadows that moved. Making everything uncertain. A woman lay unconscious on a stretcher. Her name was Francine Delacroix. 28 years old. Singer. Beautiful even now. Even dying. Her breathing came in gasps. Shallow. Wet. Wrong. Blood had soaked through the white sheet. Dark red. Spreading. A gunshot wound. Small caliber. Close range. The bullet was still inside. Near her heart. Maybe touching it. Maybe seconds from ending everything. A white doctor stood near the operating room door. Dr. Harold Whitmore. 43 years old. Chief of surgery. Boston educated. He wore wire-rimmed glasses. White coat. Stethoscope around his neck. Arms crossed tight against his chest. Defensive. His voice had been firm. Cold. Clinical. I cannot perform this surgery. Those were his words. Final. Non-negotiable. Or so he thought. Bumpy Johnson stood a few steps back. 58 years old. Hat low over his eyes. Dark grey fedora. Custom made. His face was calm. Unnaturally calm. Like still water. Like the moment before lightning. His hands rested at his sides. Not threatening. Not aggressive. Just present. Just waiting. Nurses froze in place around him. 3 of them. All black. All terrified. Not of Bumpy. Of the situation. Of what was happening. Of what might happen next. No one spoke. The silence had weight. Physical presence. It pressed against skin. Made breathing difficult. Bumpy looked at the clock. Round face on the wall. Black hands. White background. 3:21 a.m. Then he looked at the doctor. His eyes were dark. Calculating. Measuring. He didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. He didn't threaten. Didn't have to. He waited. Patient as stone. What happened in the next 2 hours made the doctor wake up inside his own operating room. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. 30 minutes earlier, the Club Dahlia. The Club Dahlia sat on 145th and Lenox. Upstairs from a butcher shop. Red door at street level. Narrow stairs leading up. The kind of place that didn't advertise. If you knew, you knew. If you didn't, you weren't supposed to. Francine had been singing. Tuesday night. Late show. The club was half full. Maybe 40 people. Good crowd for a weeknight. Smoke hung in the air. Blue-gray clouds. Drifting lazily. Catching the stage lights. Making everything dreamlike. She'd been performing Billie Holiday. Strange Fruit. The song about lynching. About terror. About America's original sin. Her voice filled every corner. Low and mournful. High and haunting. Made people remember. Made people feel. Made old women cry. Made young men angry. Made everyone think. The piano player followed her perfectly. Tommy Richardson. Heroin addict but talented. His fingers danced across keys. Finding every emotion. The bass player kept time. Steady heartbeat. Foundation. The drummer used brushes. Soft. Respectful. letting her voice lead. Bumpy sat at his usual table. Back corner. Facing the door. Always facing the door. Never again would he sit with his back exposed. Not after what happened to Big Joe Turner in 32. Shot in the back. While eating dinner. While laughing at a joke. While living. Bumpy never forgot. He wore his good suit. Charcoal grey. 3-piece. Tailored on 125th Street. White shirt. Silk tie. Dark blue. His fedora sat on the table. Within reach. Always within reach. A glass of bourbon sat before him. Untouched. He didn't drink while Francine sang. Didn't want to miss a note. Didn't want to be anything less than fully present. She was special. Not just to him. To everyone. Her voice was a gift. Rare. Precious. Worth protecting. Cotton Williams stood near the bar. Always standing. Always watching. Always ready. He'd been with Bumpy 15 years. Driver. Bodyguard. Friend. He knew when to act. When to wait. When to disappear. Marcus Washington worked the bar. Mixing drinks. Serving regulars. Keeping order. He'd been a boxer. Middleweight. Good record. Until his hands broke. Now he poured drinks. Protected the club. Made sure everyone behaved. Francine finished her set at 2:30 a.m. The final note hung in the air. Suspended. Perfect. Then silence. Brief. Respectful. Then applause. Warm. Genuine. Heartfelt. She smiled. That smile. The one that made Bumpy forget everything else. She bowed slightly. Graceful. Elegant. Professional. Walked off stage. Her heels clicked on the wooden floor. Steady rhythm. Confident. Headed to the dressing room. A small space behind the bar. More closet than room. 8 by 6 feet. Mirror with bulbs around it. 10 bulbs originally. 5 burned out now. Nobody had replaced them. Budget was tight. Always tight. A folding chair. Metal. Uncomfortable. A small table. Makeup scattered across it. Lipstick. Powder. Mascara. The tools of performance. A coat rack. Her regular clothes hanging there. Simple dress. Sweater. Sensible shoes. The costume came off after the show. The glamour was temporary. She was touching up her lipstick when the shot came. Through the door. Thin wood. Cheap construction. No warning. No voice. No footsteps. Just the crack of gunfire. Sharp. Loud. Final. The bullet punched through wood. Splintered it. Found her chest. Just below the collarbone. Left side. Near the heart. Too near. She dropped the lipstick. Red. Called Dangerous Kiss. Expensive. Bought on 125th Street. Cost a week's tips. It rolled across the floor. Left a red streak. Like blood. Foreshadowing. She fell against the mirror. Her hand reached out. Grabbed for support. Found glass. It didn't break. Held firm. She did. The bartender kicked the door open. Marcus Washington. Former boxer. Big man. He saw Francine on the floor. Blood spreading across her silver dress. The dress she'd saved for 2 weeks' pay. Get Bumpy, Marcus shouted. His voice cracked. Bumpy was there in seconds. Moving fast. Faster than a man his age should. He knelt beside her. Checked her pulse. Weak. But there. Her eyes fluttered. Bumpy, she whispered. More breath than sound. I got you, he said. Simple words. True words. You're going to be fine. He lifted her. All 112 pounds. Like she weighed nothing. His driver had already brought the car around. Cotton Williams. Loyal. Efficient. Always 3 steps ahead. The black Cadillac. 1954 Fleetwood. They placed her in the back. Bumpy held her. Kept pressure on the wound. His hand covered in her blood. The hospital was 7 blocks away. Cotton made it in 90 seconds. The hospital entrance, 3:17 a.m. Harlem Hospital stood on Lenox Avenue. Between 136th and 137th. 8-story building. Brick and concrete. Built in 1907. Expanded over the years. The only hospital that treated black patients. Usually without question. Usually without hesitation. Usually with dignity. Tonight was different. The emergency entrance was on the east side. Double doors. Glass. Institutional. A sign above, emergency. Red letters. Always lit. Beacon for the desperate. The dying. The hopping. Bumpy carried Francine through emergency. He'd carried her from the car. 30 yards. Across the parking lot. Through the doors. Into the fluorescent light. Into the smell of disinfectant. Into hope. Night nurse looked up from her desk. Dorothy Hayes. 45 years old. Nursing for 20 years. She'd seen everything. Stabbings. Shootings. Beatings. Overdoses. This was Harlem. This was her life. She saw the blood immediately. Training kicked in. Automatic. Professional. Gunshot, Bumpy said. One word. That's all it took. Dorothy grabbed a gurney from the wall. Unfolded it. Locked the wheels. Started moving toward them. Fast but controlled. Emergency speed. But then Dr. Whitmore appeared. From the corridor. Making rounds. Checking post-op patients. Part of his routine. Chief of surgery made rounds. Personally. Maintained standards. Ensured quality. He wore his white coat. Spotless. Pressed. Name embroidered on the pocket. Harold Whitmore, MD. Chief of surgery. Stethoscope around his neck. Badge clipped to his pocket. He saw Bumpy Johnson first. The hat. The suit. The bearing. Everyone in Harlem knew Bumpy Johnson. His reputation preceded him. Numbers king. Policy banker. Enforcer. Survivor. Legend. Then Whitmore saw the woman. Young. Black. Beautiful. Unconscious. Then he saw the blood. Dark red. Arterial. Spreading. He put it together. Shooting. Crime. Complications. His face changed. Neutral to concerned. Concerned to calculating. Calculating to cold. Stop, Whitmore said. Authority in his voice. Years of it. Decades of it. Medical school authority. Residency authority. Chief of surgery authority. White authority. He'd spent his career accumulating it. Using it. Depending on it. Dorothy stopped. Confused. Doctor. Put her on the gurney, Whitmore ordered. We'll take it from here. Bumpy placed Francine down. Gently. So gently. Like setting down glass. like handling something precious. Irreplaceable. Dorothy started pushing the gurney. Moving fast. Toward the emergency room. Toward treatment. Toward salvation. Professional instincts. Nurse instincts. Save the patient. Always save the patient. But Whitmore stopped her. His hand on the gurney rail. Firm grip. Authoritative. Final. Wait, he said. Dorothy looked at him. Confusion turning to concern. Doctor, I need to see the wound first. But doctor, she needs. I need to see the wound. Repeated. Emphasized. Non-negotiable. He pulled back the sheet covering Francine. Cotton's jacket. Bumpy's attempt to staunch the bleeding. Soaked through. Heavy with blood. Whitmore examined the entry point. Professionally. Clinically. Dispassionately. Below the left collarbone. Small entry wound. Typical of small caliber. .22 or .25. But small bullets could do big damage. Especially near the heart. His face changed as he looked. Something cold entered his expression. Something calculated. Something that had nothing to do with medicine. This is a gunshot wound, he stated. As if no one knew. As if it needed clarification. As if the blood in the hole and the dying weren't obvious. We are required to report gunshot wounds to police. Protocol. Procedure. Rules. His shield. His excuse. His way out. So report it, Bumpy said. Voice quiet. Controlled. Dangerous in its calmness. But she needs surgery now. The police will want to question her, Whitmore continued. Building his case. Constructing his justification. They'll need to know what happened, who shot her, why, where, when. Question her when she wakes up, Bumpy replied. Logic. Simple logic. Obvious logic. She's dying while we talk. I'm aware of the urgency. Then act on it. Whitmore straightened. Drew himself up. Full height. Full authority. Full arrogance. He adjusted his glasses. Nervous habit. Tell. Pushing them up his nose. Buying time. Thinking. Calculating. Mr. Johnson, he said. Using the name. Establishing that he knew. That he understood. That he was making a conscious choice. I understand your concern. This woman clearly needs medical attention, but I cannot perform surgery on a patient involved in criminal activity without proper documentation, without police report, without official clearance. The words hung there. Poisonous. Toxic. Deadly. Criminal activity. As if being shot made her a criminal. As if the victim was the perpetrator. As if bleeding out was evidence of guilt. Bumpy took a step closer. Not aggressive. Just closer. She was singing, he said. She's a singer, someone shot her, that makes her a victim. Nevertheless nothing, Bumpy interrupted. Still quiet. But something underneath now. Something that made Dorothy step back. You're a doctor, she's dying, you operate. I make the medical decisions here, Whitmore said. Pride talking. Ego. And I've decided this patient needs to be stabilized while we wait for police. Stabilized, Bumpy repeated. Bitter word. She has a bullet near her heart, how do you stabilize that? We'll monitor her. She'll be dead in an hour. I've been a surgeon 19 years. Then assess this, Bumpy said. Moving closer. Close enough to smell his cologne. Expensive. French. You have two choices, operate now, or explain to everyone why you didn't. Are you threatening me? I'm telling you what's going to happen. Whitmore called security. 2 guards appeared. Both black. Both uncomfortable. Escort Mr. Johnson out. The guards didn't move. They looked at each other. At Bumpy. At the floor. I gave you an order, Whitmore snapped. One guard spoke. Raymond Carter. Grew up on 138th Street. Sir, maybe we should. Now, Bumpy nodded to Raymond. Permission? Okay, Bumpy said. I'll go, but I'll be right outside, waiting. He walked to the hallway. Cotton was already there. Boss. We wait, Bumpy said. The SDANDOFF, 3:25 a.m. Bumpy stood in the corridor. Same spot. Unmoving. Dr. Whitmore stood by the operating room. Arms crossed. Refusing. Francine's breathing grew worse. Rattling now. Wet. The sound of dying. Sarah Mitchell, a nurse, kept glancing at them. Doctor to Bumpy. Bumpy to doctor. Back to Francine. She'd been a nurse 12 years. She knew what death sounded like. This was it. Whitmore checked his watch. Gold Rolex. Gift from his father-in-law. He'd called the police at 3:05. They said they were coming. Harlem wasn't a priority. Not at 3 a.m. Not ever. Whitmore shifted his weight. Uncomfortable but committed. He'd made a stand. Had to hold it. That's what men like him did. Even when wrong. Bumpy hadn't moved. Same posture. Same calm. But his eyes tracked everything. The doctor's tells. The nurse's glances. The clock's movement. Francine's breathing. Counting. Measuring. Calculating. Cotton stood at the corridor entrance. Positioned deliberately. Anyone coming in had to pass him. 6'3". 240. Former Marine. Career. Not afraid of much. But afraid now. Afraid of what Bumpy might do. Afraid of what he might have to help do. Mr. Johnson, Whitmore said finally. Trying for authority. Missing. I understand you're upset, but hospital policy. Stop, Bumpy said. One word. Quiet. Final. Whitmore stopped. I don't want to hear about policy. I want to hear her breathing normally. That's not how. Then we change how it works. The lights flickered. Longer this time. Everything went dark. Complete darkness. When the lights returned, Bumpy had moved. Closer. No one saw him move. He was just suddenly there. Let me tell you a story, Bumpy said. Voice conversational. Almost friendly. There's a man in Harlem, runs numbers on 142nd, makes good money, pays his people well, respects the community. Whitmore said nothing. One day his daughter gets sick, real sick, cancer, needs treatment. He can pay, has the money, but she needs a hospital. Francine made a sound. Small. Broken. So he takes her to a hospital, not this one, downtown, better equipment. They look at her, look at him, see skin color, say the beds are full, say come back next week. Bumpy paused. She died 3 days later, in her bedroom, in pain, while her father held her hand. Whitmore swallowed. I'm sorry, but... You keep saying but, Bumpy said. Like it absolves you, but procedure didn't save that girl, procedure killed her. This is different. How? Silence. No answer. Because there wasn't one. Nurse Sarah stepped forward. Brave. Terrified. But brave. Dr. Whitmore, her blood pressure is dropping, heart rate erratic, she needs surgery now. I'm aware. Then please. Return to your station. Sarah's jaw tightened. But she obeyed. Orders were orders. even wrong ones. The call's 3:35 a.m. Cotton made phone calls. Pay phone at the corridor's end. First call, Marcus at the club. Marcus, boss wants word out, doctor refusing to treat Francine. Silence. Then say that again. Cotton repeated it. How long? 30 minutes. She alive? Barely. I'll make calls. Second call, Reverend James Powell. Abyssinian Baptist. Voice of Harlem. The phone rang 6 times. Reverend, this is Cotton Williams, I'm with Bumpy Johnson. What's wrong? Cotton explained. Reverend Powell listened. I'll be there in 20 minutes. You don't have to. Yes, I do. The line went dead. When Cotton returned, Bumpy was still standing. Still watching. Done, Cotton said. Bumpy nodded. What did you do? Whitmore demanded. Made phone calls. To who? People who care. Whitmore's hands shook. Slight tremor. He clasped them. Tried to hide it. You can't pressure me. You have a patient dying, Bumpy said. That's what you have. Francine's breathing changed. Worse. Shallower. The pauses growing longer. Sarah checked her pulse. Her face went tight. Doctor, her pulse is weak, very weak. I can see that. She's not going to make it. I'm aware. Then please. Enough, Whitmore snapped. Composure cracking. I've made my decision. She'll be dead before police arrive, Sarah said. Then that's unfortunate. The words came out cold. Clinical. Inhuman. Something shifted in the hallway. The air itself. Cotton's hand moved to his jacket, where he kept his gun. The nurses stepped back. Even Bumpy's calm cracked. Just for a moment. Just enough to see underneath. Say that again, Bumpy said. Voice low. Almost a whisper. Say her death is unfortunate. Whitmore opened his mouth. Closed it. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. She's unfortunate, because she's black, because she was shot in Harlem, because she doesn't matter to you. That's not. Isn't it? No answer. They both knew the truth. Reverend Powell arrives, 3:43 a.m. The elevator dinged. Reverend James Powell stepped out. 72 years old. Dark suit. White collar. He carried his Bible. Old leather. Worn from use. His cane tapped the floor. Tap, tap, tap. Each step deliberate. Everyone watched. Reverend, Bumpy said. Nodding respectfully. Mr. Johnson, Dr. Whitmore. Whitmore straightened. Reverend Powell, I don't know what you've been told. I've been told a young woman is dying. I've been told she needs surgery. I've been told you're refusing. Is that untrue? It's more complicated. Is it untrue? Whitmore hesitated. No, but... There's a woman dying, the Reverend said. That's not complicated. That's a choice between life and death. He moved to the gurney. Looked down at Francine. Her face grey. Lips blue. He placed his hand on her forehead. Closed his eyes. His lips moved. Silent prayer. When he opened his eyes, they were wet. I know this girl, she sings in my church, every Sunday, has a voice like an angel. He turned to Whitmore. And you're going to let her die? Reverend, I'm following protocol. Protocol didn't carry Moses through the desert. God's law says you save a life when you can. I'm not a priest. Then be a doctor, the Reverend's voice cracked like thunder. Do what doctors do, heal. The words echoed. Hung in the air. Whitmore looked shaken. He removed his glasses. Cleaned them. Put them back on. Even if I wanted to, there are legal complications. I could lose my license. Your license, Bumpy said. That's what this is about, not policy, your career. I have responsibilities. To who? Bumpy asked. Your board, your reputation, or to the oath you took? Whitmore had no answer. You operate, you save a life, maybe complications later, maybe not, but you'll sleep at night. Bumpy paused. You don't operate, she dies. You keep your procedures, your paperwork, but everyone will know, everyone will remember, and you'll never practice in Harlem again. That's not fair. Fair, Reverend Powell repeated. You want to talk about fair while a child of God dies? Francine made another sound. Weaker. Fadding. Sarah couldn't take it. I'll do it, she said suddenly. Everyone turned. Excuse me, Whitmore said. I'll do it, I assisted in the war, field hospitals, I can try. Absolutely not, you don't have authority. Then give me authority, Sarah shouted. Composure breaking. Or do it yourself, but somebody has to help her. Tears ran down her face. Please, Dr. Whitmore, don't let her die. Don't make us complicit, please. The breaking point, 3:51 a.m. Dr. Harold Whitmore stood at a crossroads. He felt it. One way was safe. Protected by rules. The other was uncertain. Dangerous. But right. He'd known from the beginning. But knowing and doing are different. Especially when afraid. He thought about his father. Dr. Martin Whitmore. Country doctor in Vermont. Made house calls. Never turned anyone away. A doctor's duty is to heal, his father used to say. Everything else is paperwork. Harold had forgotten that. He looked at Francine. Really looked. Not as a liability. As a patient. A human being who needed help. Who deserved help. He thought about his daughter. Rebecca. 15. Home safe. What if it was her? What if some doctor decided policy mattered more? He knew what he'd do. Exactly what Bumpy was doing. Dr. Whitmore took a deep breath. Made his decision. Prep the OR, he said quietly. Everyone froze. So, Sarah said. Prep the OR, get her on the table, start the IV, call Dr. Morrison for anesthesia, move now. The nurses exploded into action. Sarah pushed the gurney. Others ran ahead. Opening doors. Gathering equipment. Reverend Powell nodded. Thank you, doctor. Don't thank me yet, this is going to be difficult. But you'll try. Yes, I'll try. He looked at Bumpy. You can't come in. I'll be right outside, Bumpy said. I know. Whitmore almost smiled. Then he followed his patient. Doing his job. Finally. The surgery, 4:02 a.m. The operating room was bright. Surgical lights. Showing everything. Dr. Morrison administered anesthesia. Blood pressure 80/50, heart rate 130. She's crashing, Sarah said. I know, Whitmore replied. He scrubbed his hands. 3 minutes. Protocol. Put on his gown. Gloves. Mask. Approached the table. Scalpel. Sarah handed it to him. He made the first incision. Precise. Clean. Blood welled up. Suction. The nurse complied. He worked methodically. Cutting. Clamping. Every movement practiced. But his hands shook slightly. Because this mattered. This mattered more than others. Retractor. He pulled the incision wider. Exposed the chest cavity. The bullet had nicked the pulmonary artery. Blood leaked from the tear. We need to clamp the artery. Sir, blood pressure dropping, 70/45. I see it. He positioned the clamp, steadied his hands, applied pressure. The bleeding slowed. The heart monitor beeped irregularly. She's going into arrhythmia, Morrison warned. How long? Minutes. Then I better work fast. He used forceps. Felt for the bullet. There. He adjusted his grip. Pulled gently. The bullet resisted. He pulled harder. It came free. Small caliber. .22. Got it. He dropped it in the tray. It clinked. Loud in the quiet. Now we repair. He switched to needle and thread. Surgical sutures. His hands moved with grace. Tiny stitches. Perfect placement. The monitor beeped steadily. Still fast, but regular. Blood pressure stabilizing, 85/55. Good. He finished the repair. Tested it. No leaks. Started closing. Layer by layer. 47 minutes of surgery. When he tied the final knot, he stepped back. Removed his gloves. Pulled down his mask. His face covered in sweat. She's stable, Morrison said. Vitals improving. She made it through surgery, now we wait. Chances. 50-50, next 24 hours will tell. Whitmore looked at the bullet. Evidence. He walked out. Back to the hallway. Bumpy was still there. Still waiting. Reverend Powell sat nearby. Cotton by the wall. She's alive, Whitmore said. Simple words. True words. Surgery went well, bullets out, bleeding stopped, but she's not safe yet. Bumpy nodded slowly. Can I see her? When she's in recovery, she needs rest. I'll wait. I figured. They stood there. Two men. So different. Connected now. Thank you, Bumpy said. 2 words he rarely spoke. I was doing my job, Whitmore replied. Eventually, Bumpy said. Not cruel. Just factual. Whitmore nodded. Eventually. The aftermath, 5:30 a.m. Dawn came to Harlem. Sky shifting from black to grey to blue. The city waking. Another day. Another chance. Francine lay in recovery. Alive. Breathing steadily. Bumpy sat beside her bed. He hadn't left. Cotton brought coffee. He didn't drink it. Just watched her breathe. Each breath a miracle. The story spread through Harlem. Club to church to corner. The details varied. Some said Bumpy threatened the doctor. Some said he pulled a gun. None true. But the core remained. Bumpy Johnson stood down a white doctor. Made him save a black woman's life. Refused to let policy kill another person. At the Club Dahlia, Marcus told everyone. Bumpy stood there 2 hours, didn't move, didn't blink, just stared until the man broke. At Abyssinian Baptist, Reverend Powell spoke to his assistant. That doctor finally understood, not policy, not procedure, a human soul. The police came. 2 detectives. Sullivan and O'Brien. They took the bullet. Asked questions. Think Bumpy threatened him, Sullivan asked later. Maybe does it matter, O'Brien replied. Pressing charges means admitting he refused to treat a dying woman. He won't press charges. No, he won't. The recovery, 3 days later. Francine opened her eyes on day 3. Weak. Confused. But alive. Hey, Bumpy said. Sitting beside her. Hey yourself, she whispered. How you feeling? Like I got shot. Don't make me laugh, it hurts. Sorry. They were quiet. They told me what you did, she said. tears in her eyes. You saved my life. The doctor saved your life. Bullshit, I'd be dead if you hadn't been there. He didn't deny it. Do you remember anything? I was in the dressing room, then a loud sound, then pain, then nothing. You didn't see who? No, door was closed. She looked frustrated. Trying to remember. Don't push it, it'll come back. Will it? Yes. He squeezed her hand. I'm going to find who did this. Bumpy. I'm going to find them, and they're going to answer. Don't do anything dangerous. I'm always dangerous, that's what I do. She smiled despite herself. You're crazy. About you. The lesson 2 weeks later. Francine was released. Fully recovered. Stronger than before. Dr. Whitmore checked on her. Take care of yourself. Thank you for everything. Thank Bumpy, I'm just a doctor who remembered his oath. She hugged him. He hugged back. The story became legend. The man who made a doctor remember. The woman who survived. The night that changed everything. Francine sang again. 3 months later. Same stage. Different woman. Her voice deeper. Fuller. Touched by survival. People came from everywhere. To hear her. To witness. She became famous. Recorded albums. Toured. Made a name. But never forgot. Never stopped singing at the Club Dahlia. Every Tuesday. Free. For the community. For Harlem. For home. Bumpy kept doing what he did. Running his business. Protecting his people. Standing up to power. Making sure black lives were protected. Valued. Defended. Dr. Whitmore changed too. Never refused another patient. Never let policy override humanity. Never forgot that night. The night he learned that saving lives mattered more than saving face. Sometimes justice doesn't come from the law. It comes from people who refuse to accept injustice. Who stand when it's easier to sit. Who speak when it's safer to stay silent. Bumpy Johnson wasn't a traditional hero. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't always legal. But in that hospital hallway, he was exactly what Francine needed. Someone who wouldn't accept no. Someone who knew black lives mattered. Not as a slogan. As a truth. A fundamental truth. Dr. Whitmore changed that night. He became the doctor his father would have been proud of. Never forgot that medicine wasn't about policy. It was about people. The lesson resonates today. In a world that often values procedure over humanity. Policy over people. Bumpy showed a different way. The persistent way. The dignified way. He didn't fight the system with force. He stood his ground. Made others see. Made them remember their humanity. That's power. Real power. Not destruction. But transformation. Making people do what's right. Not because they're forced. But because they're reminded. This is Bumpy Johnson Diary. Stories of dignity. Stories of courage. Stories of people who changed the world by refusing to accept it as it was. If this story moved you, hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. More stories coming every week. More lessons from Harlem. More examples of black excellence challenging the system. More proof that persistence defeats prejudice. Strategy defeats oppression. Dignity defeats hate. Don't miss them. Remember, the strongest weapon isn't violence. It's the quiet refusal to look away. The steady insistence that everyone matters. The unwavering belief that justice delayed is justice denied. Bumpy Johnson knew that. Do you? See you next episode. Stay strong. Stay vigilant. Stay human.